rule of law. Even at the time that he was struggling, they did it. Why? No less a person than President Mahama. President Kufuor told Eugene Ayeh to issue statements telling the OSP to investigate the president. The president availed himself for that investigation. Went through the process and was clear that he was a free man. Nothing untoward had happened. Is any member of the NPP bigger and much more human than President Mahama? The finance minister himself went through the same process. And so really, it does appear that the NPP themselves see themselves as bigger than anybody in this country and more human than anybody in this country. For which reason, when persons have been alleged to have been engaged in some crime, within a matter of hours, they must have their members to stifle legal processes that are happening because they see themselves as superior Ghanaians. Look, my Miraculous Aboagye is my good friend. I hope and wish that the allegations that have been filed against him are not true because of his public posture and what he purports to stand for. You understand the point? I'm hoping that at the end of the day he will be cleared and hoping that it's not true. But he must go through the process if indeed EOCO believes that something untoward has happened. And when that process is taking place, we must not be getting lectures from the NPP that took people through the same processes and now have turned around and begin to stifle processes, lawful legal processes that people have to go through in order to establish their innocence. I think it's unfair.
Whenever I say my PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
How's Miracles doing?
Oh, he's very fine. He's in high spirit. Like he said in his Facebook post, this unnecessary arrest has only added more fuel to the fire. He's unbothered, he's unperturbed, he's resolute. He is still going to continue to hold the government accountable and hold the government to its promises. But Moro, first and foremost, you see, the release by Miracles confirms one thing, that his arrest was unnecessary and was unnecessarily sensationalized and presented in a manner that created a false impression of guilt. I think that for EOCO to come out to say that Miracles was under investigation for 55 million when he was not is a worrying situation. Law enforcement agencies are supposed to act in accordance with the law. In fact, they went ahead to impose a bail condition of 50 million on him because he is supposedly under investigation for 55 million. That in itself, I think that is unfortunate, is outrageous, and is unreasonable because the essence of bail, like we all know, is not to bail is not supposed to be set at the amount of the supposed offense committed. The essence of bail or the intendment of bail is simply to secure the attendance of the suspect when law enforcement agencies needs the suspect or when the court needs the accused person. And so bail is not supposed to be set at a conjectured amount of investigators. Otherwise, Moro, one day I could wake up and say that I suspect that Moro has embezzled 500 million Ghana cedis from Metro TV. We arrest Moro and impose a bail condition of 400 million on him, when I have not conclusively ascertained as to whether or not indeed the person has embezzled such amount of money. And so I think that the bail conditions imposed upon Dennis Miracles Aboagye were excessive and disproportionate and unreasonable in that matter. Because if you look at Moro, but what was done to Dennis is not in isolation. If you look at the pattern, there seems to be a growing pattern of law enforcement agencies, particularly EOCO, imposing unreasonable bail conditions on its suspect. It was done to Aboagye 200 million, Aboagye and his wife. It was done to Hanan 30 million. It was done to Provincial Hanan 60 million, Provincial 30 million, Chairman Wuntumi 50 million, and so on and so forth. But that has not been the precedent. That has not been the precedent. You take the case of Atuforse. He was under investigation and subsequently under trial for allegedly embezzling close to about 3 million euros in the ambulance purchase scandal. He was granted a self-recognizance bail. Atuforse was granted a self-recognizance bail. You take the case of Collins Dauda. You remember the Seglemerhausen case of allegedly embezzling over $200 million. Collins Dauda was granted a self-recognizance bail. Collins Dauda was granted a self-recognizance bail. You take the case of Madam Sedinam Temakulu, who was subsequently convicted for embezzling 97 million Ghana cedis of taxpayers' money. He was granted a bail bond of 5 million Ghana cedis. 5 million vis-a-vis 97 million embezzled. You take the case of Stephen Opuni. Stephen Opuni, the former Kokobot CEO, was granted bail of 300,000 Ghana cedis. 300,000 Ghana cedis in 2018. Seydou Agongo was granted bail of 300,000 Ghana cedis. But today, what are we witnessing? Law enforcement agencies arrest you. They impose a draconian bail condition so they can be able to incarcerate you, to punish you even before investigations have concluded. I think that is totally unfortunate. And moreover, to the question you asked, I think that the deliberate misrepresentation of the amount under investigation was quite disingenuous. Because why would you want to create a false narrative about the amount under contention? Since the day Dennis was arrested, I have maintained that what exactly is even the total asset of the Interministerial Committee on Decentralization? Their total asset, the total asset of the entire secretariat is not even up to 10 million Ghana cedis. And so therefore, how is it possible for a person to steal 55 million from the budget of a secretariat whose entire asset is not even up to 10 million? And so the deliberate misrepresentation, I think, is unfortunate. I think it's dangerous. I think it's disingenuous. And that goes to the credibility of Mr. Raymond Acha. That goes to the credibility of Mr. Raymond Acha. Because it is a matter of public record that Mr. Acha, as editor for the Enquirer newspaper, gained notoriety for his taste and appetite for sensational news and sensational stories. He is one of the editors who have been sued by several persons. You remember he was sued by Jogati for publishing false news about him. He was sued by Asabi for publishing false news about him. He was sued by Mr. George Owusu, the country manager for Cosmos Energy, for publishing false news about him. He was sued by former Speaker of Parliament, Michael Kwe, for publishing false news about him. He was sued by Mr. Akwesi Osei, the former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, for publishing false news about him. In fact, in that very matter, he was convicted. Raymond Acha was convicted by the court in 2010. And so this is a person who has been notorious for his appetite for embellishing stories, for sensational stories, for lying and destroying the reputation of people. This is a person who has been convicted for destroying the reputation of people. And we appoint such a person as the head of a sensitive law enforcement agency like EOCO. What do we expect? We expect him to embellish investigations and to sensationalize investigations. That is exactly what he did in the case of Edubwa. He told us a very nice, dramatic story that the man has about 200 houses in Accra alone, only for the matter to get to court and for the state attorneys to say that the Attorney General's press conference is not conclusive and is irrelevant. That is what is happening in court. Meanwhile, Raymond Acha fed the Attorney General with serious lies that led the Attorney General to destroy the reputation of the young man. The same case of Hanan.
You file charges against Anand, you need the Attorney General to file charges against Anand for allegedly embezzling over 70 million Ghana cedis. Later, you withdraw the charges and file a lesser amount. And so, if you put all these things together, I am not surprised that Raymond Acha is engaging in this enterprise because that is his specialty. That is his appetite. He is well known for destroying the reputation of Ghanaians. He is well known for destroying the reputation of respected people of society. He is well known and he has been convicted. The court has confirmed. He has been convicted for destroying the reputation of people. And so if such a person is doing this to Dennis and trying to twist the narrative, I am not surprised about it. You take his deputy also, Benendego. His only encounter with the law is the case of MV Benjamin, the cocaine scandal, when he was a suspect for it. And so you put these two people at the helm of affairs at a sensitive agency like EOCO. What do we expect? These are people whose encounter with the law has been very terrible. One has been convicted by the court. The other was under investigation and under trial for a suspected cocaine scandal. And these are the people running EOCO. I think that it is problematic. I think that the powers that be have to sit them down to let them understand that EOCO is a creature of law, EOCO is a creature of statute, and therefore EOCO cannot work to subvert the tenets of the Constitution. The Constitution is clear, Moro, that upon 48 hours when you arrest somebody, you have to either take the person to court or you release the person. The Constitution never said after 48 hours, you impose draconian and unreasonable bail condition on the person in order for you to continue to incarcerate the person. That is not the provision of the law. That is not the intendment of bail. And so let us be very careful. This pattern, when it continues, has the tendency to destroy the very constitutional stipulation of the presumption of innocence of accused persons. Because, Moro, we cannot wake up and say that we are a constitutional, country, we are a democratic country, but law enforcement agencies can arrest somebody, put out a press statement, lie about the narrative, try to deliberate misrepresent the issues, try to deliberate make conclusive findings about the issues in the public space, even when the person has not been officially charged and arraigned in court. I think that this is a problematic situation that we all have to look at, because we cannot continue this way. We cannot continue this way. Moro, it is a very dangerous precedent, because you take the case of Miracles Aboagye. The whole case borders on the fact that he issued a consultancy job to a consultant to conduct a needs assessment exercise across the country to ascertain the various priority projects. And the contract sum was 5 million Ghana cedis. And EOCO investigators believe that the contract was not actually executed. Meanwhile, they have an audit report that the audit report in itself indicates that the consultancy job was done. And so if you believe that the person through his actions or inactions has committed any wrongdoing, you take the person through the right process. Moro, the position of NPP is not that no NPP member should be arrested or no NPP member should be investigated. The fact that people have served in public offices means that they have to avail themselves for accountability. They have to avail themselves to scrutiny. But that doesn't mean that the law ought to be used to antagonize or to harass them. Because EOCO never said that they were looking for miracles and didn't find miracles and so had to put him on a stop list. In any case, what is the essence of even a stop list? The stop list is to ensure that persons under investigations do not travel outside the jurisdiction. This is the case. The person had already traveled outside the jurisdiction, cleared by immigration to travel, cleared by Ghana Airport Company and National Security to travel. Upon his return, and you make a whole spectacle about his arrest. For what purpose and for what reason exactly? Let us be worried. And you see, this growing trend of trying to harass political opponents, I think it's a worrying situation, particularly for our younger friends and colleagues in the NDC, like Sammy Ayeh. Sammy Ayeh sitting here is a government appointee. He is a board member of Ghana Post. He is a presidential aide. Tomorrow, if power should change, and the next EOCO boss will say that Sammy Ayeh, as the board member for Ghana Post, is suspected to have embezzled $500 million of Ghana Post money, and so he's arrested, and the bail condition of White House is imposed on Sammy. How do you expect him to fulfill such a condition? And so the young people in NDC must not defend these unreasonable acts, because it will come back to haunt them. They should be very careful about what EOCO is doing. Nobody is saying EOCO shouldn't do their job, but EOCO must desist from engaging in sensationalism. They must desist from engaging in the sheer abuse of law enforcement powers and authorities that have been imposed upon them by statutes. They should act in accordance with the law. Moro, you remember the incident of EOCO and the NDC's own voter regional council of state member. It took the board of EOCO to call Raymond Acha and Benindego to order. It looks as if these two people have developed the appetite for reckless abuse of office, because it took the board of EOCO to call them to order to respect the decision of a high court. I think that we cannot continue this way. Moro is a worrying situation, it's a worrying trend. What was done today, I think, was unnecessary. What was done today could have been done in a more decorous and, legal manner. Invite the person. If the person doesn't show up, you have every right to cause the arrest of the person. And after arrest, you arraign the person before court. As we speak, Dennis has not been charged with any offense. As we speak, EOCO has not done anything about putting Dennis before a court of competent jurisdiction to trial his matter. And so I think that this is just a sheer abuse of political power. This is just Raymond Acha trying to show people where power lies. This is just Raymond Acha trying to use the law, because today he has executive power, trying to use the law to punish people and destroy the reputation of people like he was doing in private life. Moro, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yes, Doc.
I've made quite some few points from the submission of my good friend Kwesi Botry. We must know, or we demand from the NPP exactly what their position is on as far as the fight against corruption and the need for public accountability is concerned, because it does appear that in one breath they have been skeptical about ORA and claiming that ORA is dead. ORA has not been realized. Now, ORA was a figment of the NDC's imagination. And for that matter, the people of Ghana should dismiss the NDC for the promise of ORA because they have failed. In another breath, when the tentacles of ORA puts people on, they jump from one place to another and shout to the raptors that they are being treated unfairly. I think that there is no principle in what they are doing. There is no consistency in it. It does not bode well for a political party that wants to get the support and confidence of the people of Ghana. It does appear that they are not okay with accountability. That is exactly what this posture by the NPP and my good friend Kwesi Botry informs the people of Ghana. First of all, he decided to cast a slur on the leadership of EOCO. He is a lawyer, and I know he understands very well what it means for somebody to be under trial or somebody to be under investigation. A person being under trial or under investigation does not mean the person is guilty. He sought to undermine the integrity of the deputy director general or executive secretary or whatever it is of EOCO, Ben Ndego. He says that because the person has been under investigation or has been under trial, the person is not fit to man EOCO. Please. He is not fit to man EOCO. In another breath, the same person is here saying that some people do not deserve to be under trial or to be under investigation. So really, what is your position on it? They should tell us exactly what they think about it. He also made the issue of bail. Oh, the bills are too expensive. under their impunity. Meanwhile, there have been several times in this country where bail conditions have been varied by courts. The cases he made mention of, the bail they were given initially was not like that. It was courts that varied most of them. And so, if you honestly believe that a person has been treated unfairly because excessive bail conditions have been placed on them, as a lawyer, what do you do? Because what I know is that lawyers resort to courts rather than court of public opinion. When lawyers think that injustice is being perpetrated on an individual, what they do is that they go to courts. Have the NPP or my friend Kwesiboche gone to court to even try varying bail condition that has been given? And surprisingly, in all of the cases, the persons who have been engaged or who have been alleged to have been engaged in these matters have found one way or the other to get bail. You understand the point I'm making? Sometimes they do it in the same day, sometimes they do it in the next day. I can agree if you say that, oh, it is too excessive, it is punitive. That is a conversation we can have. But there are legal processes that have been laid down for redress as far as matters of this nature are concerned. You understand the point I'm making? As we speak, they have not been able to tell us one single law that the EOCO has breached as far as the law surrounding, you know, some criminal prosecution, criminal investigations and process of this nature are concerned. Is it true? Or is it the case that my good friend Dennis Miracles Aboagye was held for more than 48 hours without bail? No. Because within that 48 hours, he was granted bail and given bail conditions. Because the law says that within 48 hours, it is either you let the person go, or you send the person to court, or you give the person bail. Was that met? Yes. And so, as a lawyer, I was expecting my good friend Kwesiboche to tell us which part of the law EOCO breached. He has not been able to tell us. That must also be put aside. Again, my good friend Kwesiboche tries to justify and create the impression as though they are pronouncing finality on the matter when indeed charges have not even been filed. And there are processes. The fact that charges have not been filed today doesn't mean charges will not be filed. It is a process. And I know definitely we'll get to where we'll come on this platform again and discuss the matter. But you and I were not there. You don't know the evidence EOCO has. We cannot, on the basis of your personal explanation today, say that indeed nothing wrong was occasioned. EOCO has every right under the mandate that they have been given to pursue any matter so long as it is within the framework of the law that set them up. But in any event, Moro, is it the first time somebody is being invited to EOCO? The impression has been created that because Dennis Marcus Aboagye, my good friend, has been so critical of this government, that is why government is trying to hound him or cower him into submission. Please, I beg to differ. Because Moro, there are 1,001 NPP activists in this country whom, if the government wants to silence, they will arrest or put charges on just to deter them from criticizing the government. Why? If government wants to silence the NPP, why don't they go? Why wouldn't government go for the flag bearer himself? At least he is the head of the NPP's attack. If government wants to silence anybody in the NPP, why wouldn't they go for Sammy? Why wouldn't they go for the very loquacious Nana Komia? My good brother Nanabi is there. There are many seasoned NPP guys who have equal weights that government can attack. My good friend Kwesiboche, who has been more critical of this government than Kwesiboche, is he not sitting on this platform adorned in this beautiful, colorful dress on this platform, criticizing the conduct of government? Who has arrested him? And so it is a lie if anybody suggests that it is because Marcus Aboagye has been critical of government. That's why he wants to be silenced through some of these processes. Why? Dennis wants us, my good brother Percy wants us to understand and agree with him that this is the first time somebody has been arrested. You know, Mr. Percy, Mr. Kojochu Mwafu.
You don't agree with him when he says that a bad precedent is being set.
Please, no bad precedent is because 1,001 people have been arrested and investigated in this manner. You know, Mr. Kojochu Mwafu. He comes on this show, a respected man. Yes. He was arrested at the airport and almost spent his Christmas in EOCO cells. Severally. Does he not have blood running through his veins and arteries? Is anybody bigger than the law in this country? Do you know Mr. Chachuchikata? He went through the same process. Look, under the NPP, one of the gravest prosecutions happened under their watch. The former chief director of the health ministry, Mr. Sylvester Animana, he had kidney disease, he had visual impairment, he had hearing difficulty, he was in a wheelchair. The NPP carried him in trotro every day to come to court to answer for his stewardship. Is he also not a human? Even in his sick wheelchair.
You didn't like that?
No. I'm saying that it was due process. Is that not it?
Yes.
It was.
I think he's the chief of staff, I believe, of the vice president's office. Yes. And I think he still maintains his position as the he's the director of international affairs of the NDC. Yes, that was a very powerful speech. You know, I think essentially what you're saying is that what you didn't like yesterday, don't do today. Anyway, so or don't repeat today. All right, so I'm still here with Kwesi Botry Jr., who is a private legal practitioner and also a member of the NPP's communications team. He's a secretary to the Sector Committee on Defense and Interior. I hope I got that correctly. And also he has Dr. Sammy. He's a presidential aide. He works at the Jubilee House. We are still talking about some fallouts from the incarceration of Dennis Miracles Aboagye, who is a spokesperson for the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, but also aspiring to become the director of communications for the New Patriotic Party. Now, yesterday, after his release, he issued a statement. He put it out on his wall on Facebook. Now, there have been portions or excerpts of that speech which have been couched and published, which is fine. I mean, that's what media we do. Published in the papers today, and there was a point where it was saying that Ghanaians, do you know that in that 48 hours that I was kept at EOCO, I was not queried, I was not interrogated, nobody said a whimper about the 55 million cedis which I am supposed to have either stolen or embezzled or misapplied. And I'm saying that we, the media, found that a bit strange and a bit interesting, unless there's something we don't know. EOCO has not responded to what Dennis Miracles Aboagye said. And he said that yesterday in the morning, I was on Good Morning Ghana when my hard-working production team drew my attention to what Dennis Miracles had put out on his Facebook wall. So I read it, and it was all over. The online portals had reported it. EOCO hasn't said anything. So for us, it is what Miracles has said until we hear from EOCO. And if indeed it is the case that he was not even asked anything about the 55 million cedis matter, then why was it even invited to EOCO in the first place? What was that for? Of course, we know they've been to his house in Accra and somewhere in the eastern region to do some, I don't know what I can call it, a recce or some kind of a checks and so on and so forth. Even that we don't know what happened. Of course, maybe we may not be entitled to know because these are matters that bother on security and people's personal liberties and so on. But if what Dennis has said is anything to go by. We're still asking the question. And EOCO, please come and tell us, why did you arrest him? What was that for? You know, we're just asking. It's a very basic question. Why did you arrest him? What did you ask him? What didn't you ask him? Is what Dennis Miracles Aboagye saying true or false? But whilst at it, let me also say that at some point we will be crossing over to the Bank of Ghana premises. There's some very, very important event that's it's going to happen there today. Officially was supposed to have started at 8:30, but we're told that preparations are feverishly underway, and as you can see in your shot, looks like the program will be starting very, 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 very soon. And so my guests are aware. That's a good thing. We told them before they appeared on the show yesterday, so they are working within that time constraints. They will sincerely apologize to them, and they have accepted our apology, which is great. Now, Discover MNC Group Global, your number one partner, minerals and food commodity trading, real estate development, general logistics, procurement, management consultancy, investment advisory, import and export. They have headquarters in East Legon. They have, of course, East Legon, Accra, Ghana. They also have group offices in Dubai, Hong Kong, Guangzhou in China, Johannesburg in South Africa, Virginia, USA, Arizona, Italy, and Hanover, Germany. We connect markets that essentially drive the market's business growth with tailor-made solutions that will meet your needs. So trust us to maximize your value in every deal. Reach us on MNC Group at mncgroupgh.com or call 0302 998 246 or 0265505 or 056 103 2252. MNC Group, totally reliant. Now, Kwesi, I'll get you to comment on or to maybe react to some of the things that he said. But the fundamental question, good. The WhatsApp number is also active, 055-863-9114, 055-863-9114. So share your views with us, send us videos of issues in your community, and essentially contribute to discussions on the show. Now, Doc, what is your thoughts? And I'm not going to say a response because you don't work with the EOCO, and you're right when you say some of the questions would have to be deferred to the state institutions for them to come and speak for themselves. The last time you checked, you don't work with EOCO, and EOCO is supposed to be basically a quasi-independent body, so they're speaking for themselves. But when you heard Miracle say that in the last 48 hours when I was kept at EOCO, nobody spoke to me about 55 million cedis. I mean, how does this hit you?
For me, that is a Miracle's
claim.
Okay. And just like I said earlier, claims are claims. They can be true, they cannot be true until EOCO also comes with a contrary view. Initially, when Miracles was detained or arrested or whatever you decide to call it, the NPP came and said that Miracles had not done anything at all. He was detained because the government doesn't like him. That's why he was detained. Until EOCO issued a statement to detail or give us an idea about exactly why Miracles has been detained. You understand the point I'm making? And so if Miracles today comes to tell us that, he was never asked about anything about the 55 million, we are also waiting for EOCO. I believe that when he went, definitely he may have put down a few statements. The records will show when EOCO comes out. In these matters, it is important that we go by the process, because these are two opposing sides. One may make statement that may necessarily not be the case. You understand the point I'm making? So we are waiting for EOCO to also respond. I believe that they have a public relations outfit, just like they have always been doing. They should speak to the country so that we know exactly what the issues are, so that we can properly discuss the matters. But these are Miracle's words, and he alone can verify it until EOCO brings out a superior statement.
All right. Kwesi, let me bring you in.
Just like Dr. Sammy Ayeh mentions that the 5 million correction by Miracles is his words. That's the same way the 55 million assertion by EOCO is also the words of EOCO. And the person who was under investigation has come out to boldly say that at no point in time within the 72 hours which he was held by EOCO was he interrogated on any 55 million. At no point in time. like I've already indicated to you, the persons in charge of EOCO, the people at the helm of affairs at EOCO, led by Raymond Acha, have the notorious appetite for destroying the reputation of people and publishing sensational stories about people. He's a person who has been convicted for destroying the reputation of people and publishing sensational stories about people. And so if you take into consideration the background of his modus operandi, it is clear that what he said about miracles is not something that must be taken seriously. But Bongo, Moro, do you know what will help all of us? What will help all of us is when EOCO institutes charges against miracles before a court of law to say that indeed he has embezzled 55 million. Then we will know that indeed EOCO is ready to prosecute and substantiate their allegations against him. Anything other than that remains a mere political statement. I think that that very press statement was released just to react to the public backlash that EOCO was facing at that very point in time. But you see, you cannot isolate Dr. Sammy Ayeh here from EOCO, because Dr. Sammy Ayeh introduced him as somebody who speaks on behalf of government. EOCO works at the beck and call of the Attorney General, and by extension, the executive arm of government. And so he can speak for EOCO. But sticking to the point, Sammy Ayeh in his presentation misconstrued the provisions of the Constitution and even went ahead to say that EOCO has not breached any law, and that what law has EOCO breached, and went ahead to misinterpret the Constitution to say that upon 48 hours, EOCO has to take the accused person, the suspect, to court or grant the suspect bail. Is that what you said? Grant the suspect bail or take the person to court. That interpretation of the Constitution is problematic, but I can pardon my brother because he's a medical doctor and he's not a lawyer. But you see, Moro, for the benefit of our viewers, if you look at the provisions of Article, and I'll tell you the provision EOCO has breached. If you look at the provisions of Article 14, Article 14.3b, which talks about the fact that
are you sure
rights
the right
to
place you are ready?
Protection of personal liberty, Article 14.3b. Now, Moro, with your indulgence, I'll read. This is the Constitution I borrowed from your table.
Right.
A person who is arrested, restricted, or detained, the B says, upon reasonable suspicion of his having committed or being about to commit a criminal offense under the laws of Ghana, and who is not released, Moro, listen, and who is not released shall be brought before a court within 48 hours after the arrest, restriction, or detention. In the prevailing circumstance, what did EOCO do to Miracles Aboagye? They arrested him, detained him, and restricted him. And the law is saying that upon 48 hours, if you don't release the person, the law didn't say that if you don't grant the person bail. The law says release. There is a clear distinction between granting somebody bail and releasing the person from detention. You can grant somebody bail, and if the person has not fulfilled his bail condition, remain under detention. Of course. And if you do that, you have breached the provisions of the Constitution. No. The Constitution is clear that Moro, you release the person. The Constitution didn't say impose an unreasonable or excessive bail condition on the person so that you can continue to incarcerate the person even though you have exceeded the 48 hours. Now, I'll give you an example. In the case of Miracles, after 48 hours, on the night of, I think, Monday evening, when he was granted bail of 50 million, and he was not able to fulfill...
He was granted bail.
Yes, I'm saying he was granted bail of 50 million on the night of Monday evening, and he was unable to fulfill the bail condition. Was he released or he was incarcerated by EOCO? Bro, what happened?
Oh, he was kept.
He was kept by EOCO.
Yeah,
and so that is in breach of the Constitution.
How?
The Constitution is saying release the person. The Constitution never said after 48 hours, if the person is unable to fulfill his bail condition, continue to incarcerate the person. Or the Constitution didn't say after 48 hours, grant the person bail. That is not what the Constitution said. If the framers of the Constitution wanted to say that after 48 hours, grant the person bail, they would have said so. And they know the consequences of bail. But the Constitution is clear that release the person from restriction, detention, or arrest.
After 48 hours, yes, you granted Miraculous Aboagye bail, but you continue to incarcerate him for 24 hours because it took him 24 hours to meet his bail condition, and that is in breach of Article 14 B and 3B of the Constitution.
Would you like to take this matter up?
I am aware it's before the Supreme Court. Somebody has taken it up, and it's before the Supreme Court for them to interpret the provisions of the Constitution.
You see some inconsistency.
No, it's not an inconsistency. It's a breach of the Constitution.
No, I'm saying that. No, I'm raising the issue about inconsistency because if you're supposed to be granting the person bail, and subsequently release the person, but you say I've granted you bail and yet you keep the person, I mean something is not inconsistent. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yes, no, but you see, the framers of the Constitution were very wise. Not to say that grant the person bail, because EOCO has the authority to say that Miraculous Aboagye go and come tomorrow.
Yes.
Without imposing any condition, and that is what will be described as released.
Right.
As the Constitution prescribes, as was done in the case of Collins Dauda, as was done in the case of Atuforsen. They were granted self-recognizance bail. They were meant to go and report by themselves. And so the law requires that after 48 hours, let the person go home. The law never said after 48 hours, grant the person bail.
Regardless of whether the person has met their bail conditions or not.
You see, and that is why the Supreme Court has held in... Please. Discipline, I was quiet when you were speaking.
Okay.
Why? Write your points. Take 2 points. Write your points. The Constitution is very clear.
Oh, God.
The Constitution is very clear. The Supreme Court has held in several cases that bail should not be excessive, bail should not be unreasonable in order to incarcerate the person or in order to serve as a pre-trial punishment. And that bail should be reasonable. What is reasonable bail? Reasonable bail means giving the person like 1 million, like in the case of Opuni. He was granted 300,000 cedis. Stephen Opuni, 300,000 cedis. So, said in Amtemaklo, he was under investigation for embezzling 97 million. He was granted bail of 5 million Ghana cedis. That is the essence of bail. Grant the person bail to the tune or that the person can, reasonably meet. Bongo, how many people in this country have properties worth 50 million Ghana cedis? Let's be realistic in some of these matters. And so if you grant the person bail to the tune of 50 million Ghana cedis, with sureties to be justified, which means you have to go to the people's house to inspect and conduct an evaluation in order to satisfy yourself that the people who have decided to stand as sureties have the capacity or their properties indeed worth 50 million Ghana cedis. And that is what I'm saying, that is not what the law requires EOCO to do or any law enforcement agency to do.
Okay.
Again, Moro, Dr. Sammy Ayeh.
Unfortunately, it's a paid for a live telecast.
Moro,
we have to go.
1 second.
Otherwise we'll be
One
punished.
second.
I beg you. Okay. I'm told to be given some 5 minutes.
So then let me conclude. Let me conclude. So even this one, I'm responding to him, so he doesn't have anything to say.
Really?
Now, Sammy Ayeh continues to make a false impression that indeed EOCO can pursue any matter. EOCO cannot pursue any matter. EOCO is a creature of Act 804. And if you look at Act 804, EOCO is only mandated to pursue economic and organized crime matters. Okay. And so if you sit here to say that EOCO can pursue any matter, Raymond Dacha can do whatever he likes. No, he says EOCO can pursue any matter, and so Raymond Dacha can do whatever he likes. That's what he says. But Raymond Dacha cannot do that. This is somebody who has the notorious appetite for embellishing stories, notorious appetite for destroying the reputation of people. This is somebody who has been convicted.
You mentioned that already.
Convicted for destroying the reputation of people in court. Convicted.
You mentioned that already.
How can you appoint such a person as EOCO boss?
Let me give you the last 5 minutes.
Moro.
5 minutes is too much. No, then it means
Kwesi's assertion about the release and what have you will not stand the test of time, because really, if any person who has been detained or arrested by EOCO knows that after 48 hours, whether or not he's able to meet bail terms, he will be released, then nobody in this country will make any effort to meet bail terms. That is why I'm saying that what he is saying will not have legs to stand on.
Okay.
You understand the point I'm making? But the point I'm making is that before bail is even given, you understand, there are so many considerations that
are made in order to arrive at that conclusion. The nature of the offense, the amount involved. And in this case, we must all agree that the bail bond was even below the amount Miracle is alleged to have been engaged in.
Okay.
You understand the point I'm making? So if at the end of the day you are giving bail and you are unable to meet it,
okay,
the EOCO has given you 48 hours to be able to do that.
All right.
He has given you bail conditions. Within that 48 hours, you are not able to meet it. What has EOCO done? EOCO has met that part of the constitution that clearly details that you must be released. And you must be released on bail.
Okay.
And so if deliberately you are not able to meet your bail terms, how do you say
the law doesn't say?
And you are a lawyer, you can go to court.
The law doesn't say you have to
You said the
release
matter is
your
already in court.
Yeah,
no, the law doesn't. The law doesn't say. The constitution I read. The constitution
nobody will meet bail terms.
No, the constitution I read doesn't say you have to be released on bail. That's not what the constitution says. That's not what the constitution says.
All right, thanks for your time. Let's go to the central bank now. Thank you.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Ah nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.